Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could teach the gullible to never be so comfortable with lies they eat like comfort food, to disregard the bogus claims and pseudoscientific claims? Can you imagine just how much indeed the world would change? No more political predators playing on the populace, but ilkas and plots to shift and kill metropolis. No more villains with the title in the Bible, holding phony temper Bibles like the stuff they teach is vital. Imagine it was normal to have to prove a claim you make, and folks really feel ashamed expressing content that was fake. It's not to say we never make mistakes, it's just to say we go out of our way to show the evidence it takes.
Remain skeptical while you travel the road, the reason stay strapped with logic and fast. That's what it is, yo. Keep reality intact to help the truth grow. Question every claim, especially the ones you believe in. Remain skeptical while you travel the road, the reason.
Welcome everybody to this Sunday's edition of Road to Reason, a skeptic's guide to the 21st century. I am Larry Mendoza, your host, and with me today I have
Marcelo RTR.
And our guest here today is Jacob Wright. And we have an interesting show. We will be talking about Seventh-day Adventism. Jacob here is an ex-Adventist, and after we have announcements and news items, we'll come back from break and we'll be talking a lot about that. So, interesting show, but let's start out with some announcements. I have a couple here. I just want to mention that on February 7th, next month, I will be giving a talk at the Northern Virginia Ethical Society for Darwin Day. And the topic of that talk will be creationism and evolution. So it should be fun if you guys want to come by and check that out. A couple events happening in Richmond by Saved by Science, which is an organization that was started by Rob Penzak, who's a host and a producer of this show. He has a thing going on in Richmond where he co-sponsors events with the Richmond Humanists, and every once in a while the Richmond Reason and Naturalist Association down in Richmond. So some events going on with that. On February 14th, the RRNA, Richmond Reason and Natural Association, and Saved by Science will be sponsoring a talk with David Silverman, who will be promoting his new book, Fighting God, an Atheist Manifesto in a Religious World. He will be live at the Unitarian Church in Richmond where we have these events. So come for that. On March 6th, the Saved by Science and Richmond Humanists are hosting an event featuring Linda La Scala. And the talk will be about Caught in the Pulpit and Clergy Project. And Linda will be joined by Reverend Gene Pupke, who's the head minister at First Unitarian Universalist Church. And then we'll have a lot of some local guest preacher who's in the Clergy Project right now in Richmond as we speak. And then finally, on April 17th, philosopher and author Phil Torres, who will be a guest on Road to Reason for next week's show, by the way, with David Tamayo and Rob Penzak, will be in Richmond to discuss his new book called The End, What Science and Religious Tell Us About the Apocalypse. All right, so I think that's it for announcements. We have a couple of news items. The first one being, so a recent poll in Iceland found that the youth, meaning 25 and below, the youth, they polled them about their belief in creationism, and they found that 0% of the youth in Iceland believes in creationism. 0. So out of everybody they polled, and I'm assuming this is a statistically valid poll, nobody believes in creationism anymore. So, awesome. Which is interesting because that's kind of the same trends that we're seeing in Europe, we're seeing here in this country. We're nowhere near 0 here, but we're headed that way. So maybe there's hope. Of course, maybe the fact that Iceland just approved a Norse mythology temple for the first time and whenever might have something, I have no idea, but kind of cold out there, so maybe they just decided that there's no God because of that. Who knows? All right, second news item, and this is an interesting one. Tea Party favorite Congressman David Brat, who, as you guys may know, he beat Cantor during the primaries and won his seat in Congress. He's from Virginia, Henrico District, where I reside right now. Anyways, he's a Tea Party guy, very, very conservative, and he had issues with Obama citing the Bible. And basically he said this: our side, the conservative side, needs to re-educate its people that we own the entire tradition, meaning the religious tradition. If you lose the moral argument, he thinks, you lose the policy argument every time. So we need to reclaim the moral argument where we're so strong. So he has a problem with a liberal or Obama citing the Bible for whatever reason. So it's almost like, a no-win situation for Obama. He's damned if we do, damned if he doesn't. Whether he quotes the Bible or he doesn't quote the Bible, he's always going to be picked on by, I guess, the Tea Party guys. But the biggest question is, why is anybody even talking about the Bible and government policy in the first place? Which is, in my opinion, a clear violation of the Constitution. Everybody has a right to their opinions, but to introduce it in policy, I think, is the big problem. But what do you guys think? Any input on where conservatives versus liberals stand on the Bible? Should it even be an issue? I don't. But
yeah, well, the conservative apparently thinks he owns.
He owns the Bible. They own the rights.
The rights to the Bible. So
I think it's popular tradition if people want to cite it to say that give them some type of inspiration or that informs their view to a reasonable level. That's fine. But once you get into the territory where people start making legislation based on what they read, or I think George Bush said at some point that he prayed for guidance in particular. Like I think he made understand that he uses his religious view to make policy. That's when it becomes dangerous. Like when somebody uses their religious conviction to make public policy, and that's it's a I think it's a clearly defined line. If you say, because God said so, I made policy A, then that's wrong. If you say it informs my general view, that's generally fine, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Sure, yeah. And the Bible is, you can't really understand Western history unless you know the Bible. The Bible is literature.
Sure.
At least, so.
Well, I think that's it. It is.
Yeah.
That's about as far as that goes, in my opinion. But the interesting thing is that, I agree. If it's a personal belief, that's one.
Right.
Whatever. That's fair. But the fact that you got two politicians, talking about the Bible in some sort of policy context, that's the big problem I have with it all.
Yeah.
As if and almost fighting for who should own this moral authority, as if one party should have all the moral authority of Christianity over the other. That's unbelievable to me. But
well, it should be based on consistency. I'm just thinking somebody should point out to this guy that if anything, Jesus was a pacifist. If Jesus had the reins of government, there probably wouldn't be a military, right? You wouldn't go invading third world countries. However legitimate the reasons might be. He got himself crucified. The Republicans push military agenda as much as the Democrats.
Right.
None of them really have a leg to stand on. Quoting a pacifist. But could be wrong.
Well, that's.
But, don't forget that Jesus came to join politics and run for president.
Oh, right.
Oh, right. He didn't do any of that.
He didn't do any of that. Right. You're right. Unless we're missing something here, but anyway. So, that's our news items. Let's go on to talk about our atheist of the week, and I think this is important. Our atheist of the week today, we want to commemorate Michael Newdow. Now, for those of you who don't know who Michael Newdow is, he has been suing in federal court the government over the "In God We Trust" motto, over under God in the Pledge of Allegiance, that kind of stuff. And he's been losing these lawsuits. I think he's been going at it since the early 2000s. But he's filing another lawsuit recently. I'm not sure of the date. I think he's filing it in. Where was it? I think in Akron, Ohio, I believe. Again, to remove "In God We Trust" from our money, but that would lead to, I guess, removing "In God We Trust" as our national motto, because it is our official national motto right now. So, but there's a twist to this new lawsuit. He is not going to use the First Amendment, which he's used in the past to try to win this lawsuit, because that's been unsuccessful. What he's going to do this time around is he's going to go the Hobby Lobby route, where he's going to use the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, which is the law that Hobby Lobby used to pass their I guess, contraceptive or anti-Plan B pills in their insurance coverage for their employees. And what this means is that the government, basically his argument is going to be that the government cannot push God onto atheists without a compelling government interest. So, which Newdow believes they don't have. So,
hopefully he'll win.
Hopefully he'll win this time because, even though in God we trust is our national motto, I think it should not be. So, so congratulations to you, Michael Newdow. We hope you win. You have our support, and we'll see what happens. Okay, let's go into the joke of the week. So there was a clairvoyance conference here in DC last week, but it was canceled due to unforeseen circumstances. Yeah, I get it. Ta-da.
Larry.
Oh, yeah.
This is God.
Oh, God. Well.
Your heathen host from last week told the same joke.
Oh, you're serious? But if anybody in our audience was a psychic, they would have known that already.
But don't.
Well, thank you, God. God likes to pop in on the show every once in a while, by the way, guys, just to keep you interested. All right. So that's it. We are going to go on break, and when we get back, we'll have a conversation about Seventh-day Adventism with Jacob.
What's good?
Homemade noodles. Oh. Marty, stop it. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. It reminds me. I've been thinking maybe we should try a new form of birth control. I heard about this one. It's called the IUD, intrauterine device. Or we could try the patch on your arm. Actually, I think that one goes on your butt.
Bedsider.org has birth control information and a lot more. And it's...
What do you think, then? Arm or the butt?
There's a lot of tree branches and dry brush over here. We should probably move the bonfire over there.
I'm guessing Smokey liked that idea.
This is Richard Dawkins. Doing commercials is unfamiliar territory for me, but I'm inviting you to watch Road to Reason, a skeptic's guide to the 21st century, on Fairfax Public Access every Sunday. Each week, the hosts tackle wishful thinking, religion, pseudoscience, and the harm they cause, with a combination of facts, humor, and community involvement. They challenge believers to defend their faith and give you, the skeptic, a voice. With live call-ins for viewers and streaming on the World Wide Web, there's never a dull moment. Don't wait. Look at them now on Facebook and YouTube, and remember to watch Road to Reason, a skeptic's guide to the 21st century, or there'll be hell to pay.
A critical thinker is in a frame of mind of always questioning everything, including things they don't necessarily want to question. You may have done some research and satisfied yourself on a position you're sure is right. Good. Now, after a month or two of that, go look at some research that opposes your point of view or challenges the position you've taken. You can even look into it with the idea of poking holes in their arguments if you want, but it would be better to just have an open mind and read it as though you'd never heard or seen anything on the issue before. You may be very surprised what you learn, and if you're doing this right, you will be. Always be open to opposing points of view and counter arguments. That's what critical thinking is all about. And now you know.
All right, we're back on Road to Reason, a skeptic's guide to the 21st century. Welcome, and we will start this segment by talking about Seventh-day Adventism with Jacob Wright. Jacob, welcome to our show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so first of all, tell us who you are and what your story is. Just to begin, a quick introduction so that our audience can get a better idea of who you are and what you do now. And
Okay, I am 30 years old. I have a daughter. I was born and raised Seventh-day Adventist. I left the church and religion altogether about a year ago. I have an education in physics, and I'm currently a clinical researcher.
Clinical researcher, so you know nothing to about science here and there.
A little bit.
A bit about
I have a couple publications under my belt. So.
Oh, cool.
Congrats.
Was science ever, like, did that have anything to do with maybe your exiting of religion?
Absolutely. That was sort of the beginning of the end. Adventists believe that in a literal interpretation of the Bible, especially Genesis, the earth is 6,000 to 10,000 years old, along with the rest of the universe. And when you study science, especially physics, I sort of specialized in my physics education into early universe cosmology.
Bad choice.
Right, or a good choice.
Depending which way, yeah.
So you can't really believe that the Earth is 6,000 years old when you are presented with so much evidence to the contrary.
Right.
But if your faith's strong enough.
If your faith, it did test my faith. I did not leave the faith immediately. I adjusted, did some mental gymnastics and made it fit.
Try to make it fit with your views or your, upbringing. But I know for me, science was a big part of why I left my faith, but I had some doubts even before that. I started thinking, even just Genesis and the Bible standing on its own was I started questioning it. Did you ever have anything like that, or was it really when you started learning about physics and science?
Yeah, for me, that came after science. The way I was raised, it was very conservative as far as the rest of the population is concerned. In my views, the Bible was infallible, Word of God. It is all true. There is no contradictions or anything. And if you think you find a contradiction, you just don't understand it.
Right.
You got it wrong. You need to think about it more.
You need to go back to church and, pray on it, right?
You need to go ask someone to make sense of it for you, and they'll schmooze over with whatever answer they have.
Plus, you shouldn't be really questioning in the first place.
Right, thought crime. That's right there. That's,
You can go to hell for that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Especially some thought crimes people have. So, I guess you said you were always a Seventh-day Adventist, from little youngster Jacob running around and being a little Seventh-day Adventist. What was that like? What was your childhood like? Being a youngster and running around.
So, my family, my immediate family, my brother and my parents are Adventist. My father's side of the family is Adventist. My mother's side of the family is Baptist.
Oh. That's interesting.
Yeah, so my So my mother converted from being a Baptist to being an Adventist. In order to marry my father, and we were just brought up in that, and all of the beliefs. We were baptized, I believe, around 7, 8, 9 years old, something like that.
Okay.
My parents were liberal Adventists, which is a bit of an oxymoron because Adventism is very conservative. But within that range of Adventism,
I think they're called progressive Adventists or something like that, right?
I wouldn't quite call my parents progressive.
But within that context, within that paradigm,
yes. Right. So they didn't heavily enforce a lot of the rules that were typical of your more conservative Adventist families. For example, some Adventist families on the Sabbath, you couldn't really do anything. We were allowed to do some things, which sounds awful when you say it, but we could go out and play with our friends. Some families you had to just kind of sit around the house or sit in church and contemplate God and study the Bible and do
boring stuff,
do devotionals, and you just couldn't wait for sunset because that was the end of the Sabbath.
So let's talk a little bit about the Sabbath.
Sure.
And Seventh-day Adventism. Now, the whole religion, Seventh-day Adventism, the seventh day being the Sabbath. So they believe that the week starts on Sunday and ends on Saturday, and Saturday is the seventh day when God rested.
Correct.
It's the Sabbath. So that's kind of like one of them. We'll talk more about some of the differences between some of the other denominations.
Sure.
So what are you guys only supposed to do on the Sabbath besides, I guess you could contemplate God or go to church, but can you do, I mean, you can't do anything like that secular, I guess? Is that the idea?
Yeah, that's kind of the general idea.
No work, clearly.
Right, no work. Right. They really look to the Bible for guidance on what to do on the Sabbath, or rather what not to do on the Sabbath. Mm-hmm. It is being a day of rest from sundown Friday to sundown Saturday.
So sundown Friday,
right.
Not midnight Friday.
Right.
Sundown Friday.
Sundown Friday.
Is there a specific reason for that?
That is based on the Genesis account of a day.
A day. Mm-hmm. Sundown
to sundown. So,
I think the Quran, it says, I think it's for, when there's a particular form they describe how, like, the time ends. Like, I think it's for when you can't eat on the Islamic religion. I can't recall.
Ramadan.
Ramadan, since like when you are not able to like pass like a thread through like a needle, that's when it ends. And it's like one of the like, scriptures.
Sure, there were a lot of Jewish laws about you couldn't spit because you were doing work on the dirt that your spit hit.
Larry.
So
yes, sir.
This is God.
Oh, God again.
I have a new commandment.
What is that?
Thou shalt not rock chairs while on the show.
That's right.
It's
That's
very hard.
I believe that's a mortal sin.
No.
Yes, I have bolts of lightning for everyone that does it.
Sweet.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Okay. All right, everybody. just
all right. I'll sit.
have the fear of God instilled in us.
Yeah, Larry, what are you doing?
No rocking of chairs. Which is about as interesting of a commandment as the rest of them anyway. Might as well throw that in there, right?
And wear your underwear outside your pants.
If we're going to be arbitrary, it might as well be interesting.
It's a Mormon.
Quail man.
All right. Okay, so back to Seventh-day Adventism, which has nothing to do with God interrupting. What were we talking about?
We're talking about Sabbath.
Sabbath.
Oh.
Sabbath.
I did it again.
You did it again.
I did it again.
Yeah, so you can't do anything like
Sabbath.
so even spitting on the ground is considered work on the ground.
Right. So that was the old Jewish rules. Adventists didn't really observe all of those minutiae. But it was no shopping, no listening to secular music, no watching TV, no participating in sports. It was basically go to church.
No music.
You could listen to Christian music or classical music.
Oh, really?
Yes, because there were no words to lead you astray.
What if the classical composer was an atheist?
It's the worry area.
Yeah, my parents didn't really know any of that, so
ignorance is bliss.
I could get away with it.
Okay, well, classical music is okay. I like classical music.
Yeah, me too.
Good. Well, that's interesting. So that's the seventh day part, the Seventh-day Adventist.
Right, that is the seventh.
Can you talk to us a little bit about what the Adventist is and what it means?
Okay, so the Adventist in general just means the imminent return of Christ.
Imminent return.
Imminent, and imminent is the key word there.
I was going to say imminent is a key word.
Yes.
Wasn't this founded like in the 80s? I'm just putting it out there. Like when people say imminent, I'd imagine like now.
Tomorrow.
Like tomorrow, right? Like
the next 10 minutes.
Any second now, right?
Right, exactly.
Right, yeah.
And that's sort of the almost fear-based motivation here. Is that Jesus is coming again any minute now, and he better not catch you doing something that you shouldn't be doing. So you better
keep your
house in order for when Jesus comes.
Gotcha.
Any minute now.
Any minute. Which is any minute.
Any minute.
I think it would be really fun. Like I would like to scare my kids if I was like a Seventh-day Adventist. Like Jesus is gonna be here any day now, and he's gonna see the mess in your room. I don't know if you're gonna go to heaven this time.
Wow. So, but that's also something a lot of other Christian denominations use, the imminent return of Christ. I mean, that's you see that all across Protestants, especially the Protestant denomination.
Larry?
Yes, sir?
It's God again.
Oh, man.
I know about those National Geographics under your bed.
Oh. Crap. I thought, oh, man. Did you see the centerfold of one of them? It's like a big global map.
No, there would be a center for me to look.
But he knows they're there.
But he knows they're there. So, that's right, National Geographic's. Well, actually, National Geographic now is owned by
Murdoch.
What's his name? Murdoch. So, and the first issue into Murdoch was about the Virgin Mary. So, what's the big deal? God.
Hey,
Jeez.
fresh meat.
You know. So, anyways, yeah. So what is like? So yeah, they use that as well, I guess the broader question I want to ask is: so how does Seventh-day Adventism really separate itself out from other Protestant denominations? Like,
Okay.
what do you see? What do they do that's so different?
What do you protest about?
What do you protest? What does your group protest about?
They don't protest. They passively resist.
Passively resist.
Yes, conscientious objectors. Yes. So aside from the Sabbath, that's a pretty big deviation from mainline Protestantism in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
There is also they obey the Levitical dietary laws.
Mm-hmm. Levitical dietary laws.
So there is no pork, no shellfish. No bacon. I'm making up on my loss of bacon eating.
No pork, no shellfish, shellfish.
No birds of prey, no
birds of prey.
Fish without scales.
I imagine.
So like catfish, can't do that.
Oh, okay.
Eel, can't do that. Eel's pretty good, I think.
I like it in my sushi. So,
and let's see.
You can eat clean meat, though, if I understand correctly, there's a vegetarian diet.
So the church, yes, the church in general recommends a vegetarian diet.
Right.
Oh, really?
Yes.
But it's not doctrinal, which is different.
Right, it's not doctrinal, it's not required for you to be an Adventist to be a vegetarian, though a large portion of Adventists are.
Really?
Yes.
Now, vegan or just vegetarian?
Just vegetarian. There's a subsection of vegans, and they're typically not your annoying vegans.
Right.
So, let's see, what else?
And the food issue is because of the Leviticus, basically.
Right,
whatever
Leviticus.
it says.
It's unclean.
Yeah. Alcohol? No alcohol? Or yay or nay to alcohol?
Officially, the church's stance is abstinence from alcohol, though biblically there is no such recommendation.
Plenty of wine going on back then.
How about other drugs, like smoking, I imagine?
No smoking. There's a very strong health message with Ellen White, the founder of the religion.
That's a good thing. Health is good.
Yeah. That's kind of their main pushing point, is they will get their foot in the door with the health message. With the health message.
Interesting.
And they'll
kind of like with the Scientologists in one of those machines.
Yeah, so they'll say, here's all these health seminars that you can come to.
Right.
We're putting on in your area. Come learn what it means to be healthy and eat healthy and be active, which is good. But then it's the old bait and switch.
So do they advertise these seminars as a Seventh-day Adventist seminar, or just a healthy seminar? Really?
Yes.
Oh, those tricky little guys.
Yes, I was part of that.
Really? So hey, we're having a free health seminar: how to eat right, how to live healthy, you'll live longer. You know.
Have you heard of Jesus?
And then you get there and it's like, and by the way, Jesus.
Yeah.
Bait and switch.
By the way, Ellen White. Yeah.
Interesting.
I actually went door to door in Baltimore,
trying to get
handing out.
Coming to these health seminars.
These health seminars.
Wow.
It was okay. I had a mouthy friend who came with me, and we probably almost got shot once or twice.
Yeah, I can see that.
So your evangelizing started out with promoting healthy habits
in the murder capital of the United States.
Murder capital of the United States.
Hey.
Because that's
where
what
needed.
In some of these places, that's that's wow. Okay, so I guess that's one place where it differs, because I've never heard of that from any other Protestant organization.
Talking about like organized religion having hazardous effects. Here and
door-to-door health, bait and switch. Interesting. Okay, well, so that's the Adventist, is the imminent return of Christ. So they believe in that, and so they keep you, kind of keeping your house in order, keeping you straight, because any minute. And for the last, how long has Seventh-day Adventism been around?
So it evolved out of the Millerite movement.
Millerite. Not Miller Lite.
Not Miller Lite.
Millerite. Okay.
Millerite.
Okay.
William Miller in around 1820.
1820-ish.
I think. My history might be a little off.
In this country,
in the United States. William Miller predicted that Christ was coming back. I think it was in March of that year. That was the first prediction. Surprise!
Didn't happen.
Jesus didn't come.
Well, maybe next time.
Yeah. So that was the idea. Well, we did the math wrong. It's actually in October of that year. Of that year.
How did that go?
So that is called the Great Disappointment.
Which one, the first or second?
The second one. So the unfortunate thing about that was that the followers of Miller did not plant their crops that year.
Well, why would they?
Right, why would they? Jesus is coming. We don't have to worry about anything again. They sold their property, their land, their belongings, and they were left with nothing. So that was the Great Disappointment, and out of that came the Adventist movement.
Okay.
Through Ellen White.
And she was a Millerite, and
yes.
She decided, hey, this guy,
he's onto something.
He messed us over twice, so I got a better idea.
Yeah.
So what happened then?
Third time in the chamber.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, so, I guess she took the Bible literally in that you know not the day nor the hour, so trying to calculate that is pointless. Doubly so. Yeah. Right. So she laid the foundations, and some say she was a prophetess. That she had visions and wrote down her visions. Historically, there's not much to corroborate that. That isn't just hearsay. She had either a 3rd or 5th grade education. She had brain damage. I believe she got hit in the head by a rock.
Yep.
And
okay, I'm gonna stop you right there.
Yeah.
She got hit in the head by a rock. Somebody throw it at her? Like, I don't like it. Throw a rock at her head, or what?
I don't know.
I think I read in the school, some student
when she was a kid.
Yeah, when she was younger. Yeah.
Yeah, and posthumously they made an examination of her body, and apparently they found that she had brain damage from the temporal lobe, I think. She also was in a coma for several weeks after she got hit by a rock. And I think it's funny that the religion was actually created by a brain damaged person with she had visions, which
could have been because of her brain damage.
No, it was definitely for it. Like the ways that she describes it very vividly on her books, and she fits the medical description of having medical symptoms of people who have that condition.
So interesting. So, well, we know about visions and religion is usually they go hand in hand, and that's when people usually start religions oftentimes because of visions. I mean, there's some people out there that would say that Paul on his way to Damascus, he had a vision of Jesus.
Well, those people are heathens and should be.
Well, yeah, but there's evidence to show because he had some other, he fell to the ground, had visions. Well, that's all symptoms of epilepsy. An epileptic seizure could certainly cause visions and things like that. So perhaps maybe these visions, and the people that come out of these epileptic seizures, which they don't realize they're having, all they realize is the visions they've seen. They really believe it. It's actually I've read about this a little bit and studied it in neuroscience, where these visions get imprinted in the memory part of your brain. So you actually do experience these things, which is interesting because to you, who underwent this episode, it is like it was real. I mean, your brain imprints it in your memories as a real event. So you have no reason to believe it's not because your brain tells you it's real, which is an interesting aspect. But,
sure.
So Ellen White. So she started. Okay, so she was hit by Raj Edmond. So she started this movement.
So she started this movement, and I don't know a lot of the details from there to here, but I do know in my own research that she definitely a racist. She was an alcoholic at one point. She references it as vinegar, an addiction to vinegar.
Really?
But back then vinegar had
sour wine, I guess.
Well, vinegar was about 20% alcohol.
Right.
So, yeah, she had a habit of drinking vinegar.
She was addicted to alcoholic vinegar. Okay,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
A drunk, brain damaged racist.
Yeah, and if you look at, she wrote a lot. She has many councils on, you name it, councils on education, councils of this and that or the other. And if you look at any single work, it's between 30 and 70% plagiarized. Or sourced elsewhere,
Readapted to fit her views of.
But God works in mysterious ways.
He does.
So
sometimes he has to double his efforts.
One thing I've always wondered was, these people. You said they believe in the infallibility of the Bible. They believe in the literal interpretation,
yes. Literal translation
of the Bible.
Interpretation.
But yet, you have a person who will write to interpret what literal interpretations of the Bible was about. I mean, is this what's going on here?
Yeah, basically, she references herself as the lesser light pointing to the greater light of Jesus.
Of Jesus.
So her writings are officially non-canonical. They are not the actual gospel. They're not scripture.
It's not like the Catholic Church where if the Vatican says it, it becomes doctrine no matter what the Bible says.
It's interesting you bring up the Vatican because Adventism is almost anti-Catholicism.
Yeah, well, a lot of Protestants are.
Yeah. So, I forgot.
Which is funny because what a lot of Protestant denominations in this country don't even teach this to their own flock. Well, Protestantism stemmed from Catholicism. It's part of the history. But my understanding is that a lot of Protestants today and age just see Catholicism as being some evil, heretical religion, without even knowing that that's where the roots are, which is always interesting.
Yeah, and how many practices are still in common?
It's still in common between the two,
right? Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I have a question for you. I think we talked about this before the show. Do you know anything about this apparent? I guess I'm not sure if it's like a doctrinal message or this thing that Wright had, where she created a dress code for women to follow. And I think it catched on for a while. It was supposed to be a really conservative garment, but I think she just disliked it and then just kind of let it die. And do you know anything about it by any chance?
Specifically, I don't know anything about that, but I know that Adventism is also very conservative in your dress.
Right, in dressing, right.
Yeah, no tattoos, no earrings.
Right, that's Leviticus as well.
Yeah, no jewelry, no showing off your body. Depending on, it wasn't exclusive to women either.
Right.
I had a friend of mine who went to an Adventist summer camp, and this was back in the day as well, and he had his swimming trunks down below his belly button. And the lifeguard told him to pull up his trunks that no one wanted to see his belly button.
The horridness of seeing a belly button. I mean, I don't blame him. If I was that bodyguard, I'd be like, hey, buddy, no belly buttons.
No belly buttons.
We're all clones here.
Yeah. Which is funny. Belly buttons are in the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve had belly buttons. So,
right.
Hey.
But why? If they were just...
That's a whole different show.
You're asking too many questions.
That's a whole different show.
Just have faith.
Yeah. Well, I suppose then they fell from grace, so the belly button's with them, so therefore no more belly buttons, I guess. Anyways, but so let me ask you, we're talking a little bit about Seventh-day Adventism. I want to pepper that with a little bit about your story. So do you still, how do you feel now that you've left Seventh-day Adventism and, with family and friends, and you still talk to family and friends about it, and do they know that you are now a hell-bound, heretical sinner, heathen,
Baby eating.
Sure,
baby
yeah.
eater. Do they know?
Gotta get my babies. My parents know. I told them that's mostly because, I have their granddaughter, and I think that they should know that that's not the way I'm going to raise my child. And
I thought you were going to say because I'm holding her hostage. Go ahead.
I am holding her hostage.
But go ahead.
So
convert.
Right. So I've told my parents. I do have a pretty close relationship with my parents and the rest of my family. My extended family lives in Virginia, and they are all, for the most part, within about 10 to 15 miles of each other.
Right.
I've told some non-religious members of my family, maybe like 2 or 3, but the rest of my family, and we're talking about 30 to 40 other people here, are still very religious. Not so much Adventist, but still very religious.
Very religious, right. So what's your relationship with your parents now?
It was strained for a while. I officially made my decision last February, and I didn't tell them until about August
of last year,
of
2015.
Yeah. So I wanted to take some time and kind of cool off myself, because I played the conversation in my head, and up until about August, it always ended with me belittling them for being religious.
Right?
Yeah. So once I got to the point where I wasn't going to disrespect them and talk down to them, I was like, okay, well, I can probably talk to them about it. And I actually didn't volunteer that. I was just having a conversation with my mom about.
So you were going to say you were torturing people.
About Ben Carson.
Oh, Ben Carson.
Who is an Adventist.
Yeah, so
that's right, he is.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he is.
Well, that might explain a lot about that guy.
Yeah, the religion founded by someone with brain damage is followed by a brain surgeon.
What do you know?
Wow. This explains a whole lot.
Mysterious ways.
That explains a whole lot. Anyways, okay,
So we were just talking about Ben Carson and his comment on how a Muslim should not be president.
Says the Seventh-day Adventist. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, we went back and forth on that a little bit, and I told her that the United States is a pluralistic society, and it's not just Christians. Christians enjoy quite a bit of privilege as the dominant religion, but they are not the only ones, and they don't get to bully people,
other religions, other faiths.
Right. And she says, well, what are you?
So she asked?
She asked me.
So she thought maybe she had an inkling or something.
Yeah. She had a feeling.
Oh,
she said, well, I'm a radical Muslim. What do you think I am? Why would I be
So I just speaking. I'm glad you asked me, Mom. I am converting to Islam.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'll be leaving.
I wonder what would have been worse.
I'll be,
I'm turning into an atheist or a Muslim. I wonder which one.
I asked that. We'll get to that.
Yeah, okay.
So I kind of played ignorant, like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What am I? And she's like, what are you? Are you still a Christian?
Right.
And I said, no. She said, are you anything? I said, no. So you're an atheist? Yeah. And our lunch concluded rather abruptly after that. She was very upset. She's had a tough life, and and I think religion is one of the things that
helped her.
Kind of keeps her going. So she's very big on her family. She cares a great deal for her family, and the biggest part for her, from her perspective, is that I'm no longer going to be in heaven with them.
With them, right.
So, so she's probably still getting through that.
To these people, their delusion really, that's a lot of it that upsets them so much when they lose a family member. from a religion, the biggest fear to the family members is not so much that you're not a believer, but that you will not be in heaven with them for all eternity.
It's very real.
And it's very real to these people. So they basically feel like they have lost a child or a family member for all eternity, not, for all eternity. And that's, to them, that's huge.
Yeah.
So, that's to put things in context with how religion really has people deluded that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had a follow-up conversation a few months later after the dust kind of settled.
Right.
And I did ask her if she thought that it would have been better if I had said that I was
still
Catholic or a Muslim or a Buddhist or something. And she said, yeah, because at least you would believe in something. And I said, I don't have to believe in some supernatural power to have a meaningful life.
Right.
She's like, well, I know you don't. Like,
well,
okay then. So
then what's the problem?
So it's been an interesting ride.
If I have taken that seriously, I would have said something funny like, well, I do believe in something. I believe in radical Stalinism.
Right. Stalinism.
I believe in the flying spaghetti monster.
Right.
And all of his noodliness.
And how did your dad take it?
My dad is a man of a stone outer shell.
One of those, yeah.
Yes. So how he has truly taken it, I don't know.
Only God knows.
Yeah, only God knows. I'm not sure my mom even knows how he's taken it.
He truly feels.
Yeah.
What does he show to you, though? Like, what is his reaction to you?
Very positive.
Positive, okay, that's good.
Yeah, we met a couple weeks after I talked to my mom. I mean, I asked her not to tell my dad because I thought he needed to hear it from me, which I knew.
Of course, that's not going to happen.
I was like, I know you're not going to not say anything, but it was worth a shot.
Sure.
So we met up for lunch, and he was like, "We still love you. We still want to have a relationship with you. I don't understand what you're going through. Let's talk, and maybe I can understand part of it."
That's very positive. That's pretty cool. That's very good.
Yeah, I was very proud of him for that because he's actually an elder in the local church.
Oh, wow. Which could be an embarrassment for him, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if
he told
he's
probably keeping it to himself.
Yeah, I have no clue. So, but he gave me the Case for Christ.
Ah, that's
Strobel.
Lee Strobel, or Strobel,
which I tried. I tried. I got through maybe 2 chapters.
I find it interesting to read actually apologetics books because a lot of them, of course, are rehash the same stories. You buy one apologetics book, you pretty much buy them all. I mean, they're all, especially when you're dealing with like evidential apologetics and classical apologetics, like Strobel and some of these others. I read the whole book from Frank Turek, I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist.
Right.
And, I was, as I was reading, like, but anyways, but at least, he's saying, well, read this.
He's trying.
He's trying, but he's not doing it in a very negative way. He's being positive. So that's good.
I give him tons of credit for that.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
Yeah. So, at which one you hand to him, God is Not Great, How Religion Poisons Everything, Christopher Hitchens, and say, here you go, you read this.
I gave him a list, the God Delusion, God Virus, what else did I give him? Did I give him anything by Harris?
I think your mother might enjoy that one.
Yeah,
right.
I think I told him to read Darwin.
Charles Darwin. Oh, you went straight to the devil.
Yeah, right. So.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
but the rest, my brother does not know, and interestingly enough, there's always this bit of a power struggle with my brother. My brother's very controlling, so I haven't really. He has a short temper too. So I haven't approached him about this.
Might be a good idea. That's best to keep it sleeping.
Well, I mean, normally if it was just him, I'd be like, I don't care.
Right.
But it's also my 3 nieces. So I don't want him to overreact.
And then you're not allowed to see your nieces
I don't
anymore.
see my nieces.
Yeah, right.
So there's that aspect.
Interesting. Well, let me. I want to get to, because we've got about 8 minutes left, but I want to get to an interesting point about Seventh-day Adventism, which is they have a different view on afterlife, on what happens when you die, which I think is one of the biggest separations between all the other Protestant churches. So tell us a little bit about that and what happens. Like, what do they believe when the end times are here?
Okay, so
when Jesus comes, what's that whole thing about?
So those two are somewhat combined. As far as what happens on death, Adventists believe in annihilationism.
Okay.
And what that means is that you are not eternally damned to hell or the lake of fire to burn forever.
Okay.
Adventists interpret eternal separation, that separation meaning the most separated that you could possibly be from God is being destroyed utterly or annihilated. I believe that most mainstream Protestant religions do believe in eternal suffering.
Eternal suffering. So let me get this straight. So you have the Seventh-day Adventists believe that when you die and you're a sinner, you don't go to hell for eternal damnation, eternal torturing, burning, and all that stuff. You actually get erased.
Yeah.
Basically, you don't exist anymore.
Right.
So I'd like to propose a poll for our audience, whether you want to call in the show or whether, we got 6 minutes left, but whether you want to call in, or if when this goes on YouTube, to put on the comments is, what would you prefer? Complete erasure or eternal burning and tormentation? Which is funny because atheists also believe that there's total erasure after death.
Was no problem for me.
All right, cool.
Already there.
So basically, if you're a Seventh-day Adventist and you turn into an atheist, you end up kind of like, okay, well, at least I know I'm not going to burn in hell because I'm just going to be erased, which is what I believe anyway.
Right.
So it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Well, but does the erasing hurt?
Only for a second.
For a second, right. It's real quick. It's like, boom. It's like you feel it's like, and then nothing.
Right.
So, okay, so that's interesting, though. That's an interesting point. That's where they separate. So, tell us a little bit more. So how is the end time? Like, is that different?
The end times is especially interesting for Adventists. Adventists believe that at some point, and this is all based on Daniel and Revelation, which Adventists will gladly give you a seminar on Daniel and Revelation.
Right after the health talk.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So, in the end times, when there is the one world government, which a lot of Adventists...
You mean like the New World Order?
Right.
The UN?
The UN.
Gotcha.
Yes. So...
It's radicals.
Eventually, there will be a law passed where everyone must worship on Sunday.
That's part of the New World Order?
Yes.
Interesting.
And Adventists in particular, of course, are not going to worship on Sunday.
They're going to silently and conscientiously object.
Yes.
Right, gotcha.
Worshiping on Sunday is actually the mark of the beast in Adventist lore.
So every other Christian denomination is hellbound.
Right.
Or erasure bound.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yes. It's how fortunate I was to be born in the remnant church.
Man, that's lucky you.
I mean, I was born in the United States,
buddy.
Right? I was born to a Christian family, but not just a Christian family, an Adventist family.
And you're a cis white male.
Right.
I mean, you have it made.
Right. Just let me re-up for that. So that is the end times, and
good times.
So so they're going to pass a law. A world government.
Yes.
The UN is going to say everyone must worship on Sundays. No more of this middle of the week, Saturday,
Yep.
Okay.
So part of that is it's going to be enforced. There is this very Gestapo imagery that you get when talking about this stuff. And
like police coming on your door.
Right. They're gonna knock on your neighbor's door and say,
"Do you know if
these people over here
Wow.
Do they worship on Sunday or do they worship on Saturday? And your neighbors are going to turn you in.
Man.
They might be your friend, but when it comes down to it, they'll turn you in.
It would be funny. What if you're like bad with dates? It's like, I don't remember what day is today.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, man.
I think it was 2 days ago or one day ago.
That's why you got to keep up with your Google Calendar. That's all I'm saying. Put a reminder.
But the evil part of this is this is taught to young children.
Right, of course. Well, of course it has to be taught to young children.
Right. And when I was
You see, it's harder with adults.
Right, yeah. When you said this stuff to an adult, you're like, you're insane.
Right.
Shut up. Right. But when you teach it to a kid.
But a 5-year-old.
I had a plan.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally had a plan for when the end times came. You know, wherever I was, the Adventist conference owns about 300 acres of land in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And that was my plan. When the end times comes,
go there.
I'm going there.
Awesome.
Isn't that a bad plan? Because that would be the first place they would strike.
Yeah, well, I was like 9, so.
You know, give the guy a break.
I was like, I'll be in the mountains.
He did the best he could at the time for his knowledge. The soul, though, like, it's different in Adventism, right? Because, again, you get annihilated. But so, like, do they believe in, like, the rapture? Everybody just disappears and goes up?
No, there's no rapture.
Okay.
The soul is, as defined in Genesis, as the body and the breath of life.
Okay.
Come together and they make a soul. So the soul has these two parts.
Right.
And when you die, your body is dead, and then the breath goes back to God or something.
Goes to God.
Goes
and God
back
keeps
to
it in like a little lockbox.
Yeah, in his little bottle or something.
Bottle. Or, yeah. Oh, I see. That's how God gets hot.
Back.
Right.
All right.
So that is the soul.
And then the people that were sinners, they go and disappear. They just get erased.
They return to God.
Oh, they return to God
when they die, and then so the second coming, everyone is restored.
All right.
The righteous go to heaven for 1,000 years. The unrighteous stay on the earth for 1,000 years.
Oh, and they have to deal with all that.
While Satan is amassing his army. And then after the 1,000 years, Jesus comes back, wipes everyone out. Okay. Sin is done. It's all finished, and
game over.
Game over.
Game over.
The new.
So that's a big difference than the other Protestant. Well,
should make a movie though.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens
so
when you have.
We got about 15 seconds left, and I just want to thank you for being on the show. This was very interesting,
Thank
very
you for
fun.
having me.
I just want to summarize: Seventh-day Adventism, healthy, knock any door, switching bait, no soul, you get erased, and just remember that. So thank you very much. We'll see you guys next time, and we'll go from there.